Hi everyone, welcome to my class today. This is still Maths with Victor. We are still working on the gradient of a straight line. And if you can recall very clearly, we said in our last class that gradient is the ratio of the increase in y to the increase in x. That means we can express gradient as a ratio of two integers where the numerator is the increase in y and the denominator is the increase in x. And I said in one of my videos that the numerator, the increase in y, could be said to be the rise of the line. And then the increase in x, that's the denominator, could be said to be the run of the line. So gradient is the rise over the run. When we talk about the rise could be moving upwards or moving downwards. And the run could be moving forward or moving backwards. So I want to clearly illustrate the meaning of these figures if they are to be the gradient of a straight line. So I'll start with number one. Number one, if the gradient of a straight line is 3 over 2, it means that the numerator is the increase in y, and then the denominator is the increase in x. This means that this line increases by 3 units in the y-axis, and then increases by 2 units in the x-axis, which means, of course, this is a positive gradient. It's a positive number, which means that the line will move wherever it is. It will move 3 steps to the y direction and then move forward 2 steps to the x direction. For instance, if I start the line from here, the point from here, the next point will move 3 steps towards the y direction, 3 steps, 1, 2, and then 3. And then move 2 steps towards the x direction, 1 and 2. So that point will be here. And then from this point, it will move again 3 steps to the y direction, 1, 2, and then 3. And then move 2 steps to the x direction, 1 and 2. The next point will be here. So we can join this 3 straight line. You can see it moved upwards because it is a positive gradient. So at every point in time, the points will be moving 3 steps to the y direction, the rise in y, 3, and then 2 to the x direction, the run in x, 2, 3 to the y direction, the rise in y, 3, and then 2 to the x direction, the run in x, 2. That is the meaning of this gradient. And then we can talk about the second one, minus 1 over 3. This is a negative gradient. Of course, this is not a graph, so I may not have a perfectly straight line. Please forgive me about that, but you're going to have something like this. So sorry. You're going to have something like this. Of course, something like that. Just an upward slope. But when you talk about this one, it's a negative slope, and then the numerator is 1. That means the increase in y-axis is 1. But because it's a negative value, it's no more a rise, it's a fall. It's a fall in y. So this particular line falls by 1 unit on the y-axis and then moves forward by 3 units on the x-axis. So if we can start from here, it will fall by 1. It will move 1 step down, and then it will run by 3. 1, 2, 3. So the next line will be somewhere here. So from there, it will fall again by 1 to the y direction, and then run again by 3. 1, 2, 3. The next point will be here. It will fall again by 1, the y direction, and then run again by 3. 1, 2, 3. The space will not enter, please, sorry. So you see that we can join the line. It's still a straight line, and then but the line sloped from up to down, from top to bottom. So it sloped downwards. Why did it slope downwards? Because it's a negative slope. Every negative slope will move downwards, and every positive slope will move upwards. So I can do the third one and the final one here. The value is 2 over minus 3. It's also a negative slope. So we expect that at the end of the sketch, we're going to have a slope that will move downwards. The implication is that the 2 as the numerator is the increase in y. So it's a positive value. So this line will move upwards. It will rise by 2 in the y direction. And then it's running by 3 in the x direction. But with the negative sign, it will be running backwards in the x direction, not forward. So if we start from here, for instance, it will move 2 steps to the y direction, 1 and 2. And then from there, it will run 3 backwards, 1, 2, and then 3. The next point will be here. From there, it will move again 2. It will rise by 2 to the y, and then run by 3 to the negative side, 1, 2, 3. So the next point will be here. Of course, we can continue. You can see the line is sloped downwards because it's a negative slope. So this is the implication of the slope. We can even plot the straight line graph just by knowing the slope of the graph. Once we start from a particular point, we'll move the number of steps to the y direction, and then we'll move the number of steps to the x direction. We can get our various points, and then we join the points. This is how slope can help us to determine or to plot a straight line graph.